Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest here on the Just Acting Up show.
Mhm.
This queen right here. I have to do this introduction right because I just have to. So, actress, producer,
Mhm.
casting director, and a founding member of the Mint Theater Company, one of them. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Candice Wells. Round of applause.
Hello, hello, everyone.
Hello, hello. And like we were saying earlier, before you got on the and we talked about it off camera as well. Me and Shay was like looking at you. I'm like, your name, Candice Rose, it just flows so perfectly. And you shared with us off screen, but can you share with the audience again about your name?
Oh yeah, sure. Everyone thinks it's a stage name, but it's actually my real name. My mother was pregnant with me when she met Candice Bergen. And so she named me after Candice Bergen, spelled with an I, Candice. And then Rose is obviously just, my family name. So, but people often ask and they don't think it's the real deal. It's the real
Yes,
deal.
that's what I was like, this is a cute name. Like, this is a stage name? Or like, who was wondering?
Yeah, I didn't have many Candices growing up. I didn't know
Mm.
many Candices, but the name has gotten, and I didn't love it because it was so different.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
so I was, an oddity. And then as I got older, now I know quite a few of them. And I just, made me feel better as I got older. But when you're young, you just, something different is always another thing for a classmate to tease you about, which
Yes.
I got teased enough.
Oh my gosh, haven't we all been? Oh my
Kids
gosh,
are cruel.
Yes,
very.
they are. I know I got teased from my maiden last name is Wooten. And oh, I got it. I got it a lot. I got
Goodness
it a lot.
gracious.
Everything
Oh,
you can think of. It was like woo, dang, just it was just all kind of stuff they came up with to
It's
tease me
funny.
with.
My side hustle is actually I'm a recruiter, a
Mhm.
headhunter. And as an actor, you got to have a side hustle because it's highs are
mm,
high, the lows are low. And
Mhm.
one time I had to interview a candidate, and his name was Harry Bonar. And I, of course, thought it was, Harry Bonar. And I
yeah.
said to him, Harry Bonar. I said, is that how you pronounce your name? He said, no, it's actually Harry Boner. So I said, wow, okay. I didn't say anything. I said, oh, Mr. Boner. And then we started the interview. But some
Yeah.
names,
On
I
the
got
inside, you
lucky.
was like,
Harry Boner. He was
Oh man.
older. I don't think anyone would do that to their child at this day and age.
I
I,
was just thinking, why
I
does
would
this?
definitely not put the first name Harry if the last name was Boner. I would never do that. I would definitely have to, no, this is not good. It's not going to end well. Let's try something else.
Oh my gosh, that is too funny. That is so classic. Oh my gosh. So Candace, share with like where are you originally from now?
I am originally from Los Feliz, California.
Mm.
I was born when my parents lived in the W.C. Fields mansion,
Mhm.
which is a little crazy.
Mm.
But that's all I knew. And we lived there till I was 5 years old. And my parents were afraid of entitlement and mudslides and the smog. And so they moved us to North Carolina, where my mom's sister lived. And I was raised in Winston-Salem, North Carolina from the age of 5 until 15 when I went away to an all girls boarding school in upstate New York. I fought tooth and nail not to go because
Mm.
I had friends and I wanted to go to the local public school, and my parents really wanted me to get cultured. And both my older sisters went to all girls boarding schools, and it was the best decision that anyone has ever made for me. I was able to raise my hand in class with no boys, and I was freshman class president, which I probably could have never been, in 1988, which was my first year of high school. And so it was an incredible opportunity. And also it was 30 minutes from Manhattan. So I was able to we would do field trips into the city, into New York, to see Broadway shows and to take real acting classes with real live, coaches that were teaching. So it was an incredible opportunity, and I stayed there for 4 years, and I did a ton of plays and musicals, and I was the lead in a lot of shows. And it's just what I wanted to do from a very young age.
I've never really like, I don't know much about boarding school. How is that? Like, for people who've never really had
Well,
an introduction.
I always went away to camp every summer
Mhm,
for a month. My
mhm,
parents, if I had kids, I chose to not, but if I did, I would have sent them away to camp every month, every summer, because it was amazing and they were all girls camps, but then there was the all boys camp about 30 miles away, and we used to have dances with them and everything. But it's you board there, you eat there. I mean, I just remember back in 1988 when I started, I asked my parents later, it was $18,000 to send your child to boarding school. But that was, full room and board and a complete fabulous education with a liberal arts high school that had an incredible theater department. Um, it was uh, it was pretty awesome. And my mom from North Carolina, ended up getting an apartment in New York City just because I was in school close by, and my sister was in more upstate New York, in Troy, New York. So we
mhm.
would always, reconvene in the city and celebrate birthdays and whatever. But and then you get your summers off, of course. But it's just a private school education where you don't have to think about anything. And then smart parents. I mean, gosh, get rid of us for the year. Like that's and then we went home for holidays. But I met the most incredible women there that I am still friends with today. That's my main group of friends from high school. So yeah, boarding school is sounds scary, and it sounded scary to me before I went there, and it all went well.
Yeah. So, like, did you want to be an actress before you went to boarding school, or was it
Yeah,
something that kind of came about while you were there?
no, I wanted to be. There's an interview on my Instagram of me. My dad interviewed me and my sisters for my grandma, just to have those on VHS. And he said, "What do you want to be?" And I was about 10 years old, and I said, "An actress." And I just went for it. And they wanted to support me in that. And they also wanted to get me out of the South because of a lot of things, the racism, there's just so much. And they really wanted to get me more cultured so I could, see shows and be in the real world. And it was forced on their part, but I couldn't be more thankful for that opportunity. I don't regret anything about that.
That is amazing.
Plus, I got to see
Shout
New
out-
York and travel a little bit.
Yes, shout out to the parents for
Yeah,
making
they
it.
always know best.
Sometimes the parents do know best for this situation. Man,
Yep. And you don't know it at the time. I mean, I
Mhm,
was devastated to leave all my friends who were all going to the public school.
yeah.
mhm.
But I I've done pretty well in life, and I owe a lot of that to my education
Yes.
Mm,
and my
man.
independence that I was forced to have no matter what, being
Mhm.
there without my family. And all three sisters went to all three different boarding schools.
Oh,
So
Mm.
that makes a difference too, because you didn't have them there.
no, we all chose. I
Yeah.
didn't want to go to school with my sister. Ugh. And at the time, but we're very close now. But at the time, I was like, I am not going to, Plus, it wasn't close to Manhattan, and I couldn't get everything I needed to get for my career started
Mhm.
at such an early age.
Right. Gotcha, gotcha. Well, go ahead, Shay.
So do you model? Because we have seen some pictures and headshots that seem model ready. So we just want to know, have you ever modeled?
I have done a couple of probably let I can count them on one hand print
Mhm,
ads. My mother was stunning, and she was 56. She was 55 when my dad was killed in a plane crash when I was 18 years old. She was 55, he was 56. She had just raised three daughters. She
mhm,
got her bachelor's in speech and drama from Occidental College, and she always wanted to be an actress. But she was raising these three kids. She was a homemaker, and that was a busy job. And so when my dad died suddenly, she said to herself, I got this place in New York because Candice is 30 minutes upstate on the Hudson River. She said, I'm going to start acting. So she started acting, and most of her work, besides doing a co-star on Cold Case, I mean, she started after I did, basically, but she
Wow.
always wanted to be an actor. And one of the main things she started doing, because she was, so beautiful and aging gracefully, was modeling and print work. And she did very well in that sector. And so I have her looks. I mean, I when I look in the mirror, she'd passed away in 2018. When I look in the mirror, I see my mother, and we were like two peas in a pod, and we look so much alike. So I thought, I can do this modeling thing, but I'm only 5'3", so I can't, do, runway stuff, but I can do
mhm.
lifestyle print.
Yes.
And it just, no matter what I do, I can't seem to book very many jobs modeling. It's such a good side gig, but for some reason, it's not coming my way. And I think the older I get, the 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 more grounded and in my body I'll become. And typically, when women get to be that age, 60, 70, 80, and they're just done with acting and modeling, they they go out of the business. So my
Mhm.
mother's competition pool was much less, really much less than it would be now. Uh,
Yes.
but modeling is something that is, it's easy to do. It's,
Mhm,
you can get paid great if you get a campaign or you are on a brochure in doctor's
mhm,
offices. But I've got an entire portfolio of my mom's modeling, and I would love to do that. And I think as I get older, it'll become easier, and maybe I'll book more.
Man,
You
yeah,
are stunning, let me say.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And she was too, and I got it all from her. So I appreciate that.
Shout
Um,
out to Mom again.
but
again, always.
yeah, I mean,
Always.
many, giving flowers to your parents as well. I mean, I know it's been, quite some time since their passing, but definitely
Yeah.
want to, give my respects to. I know it's been a while, and I know, but I just really want to give respects to your parents for raising
Mhm,
you, your daughters, and so
They
yeah,
were the bomb. They were the bomb. They were liberal. My mom was a volunteer for the NAACP. She did all the campaigns for all the Democratic politicians at our house. And my dad was a forensic psychiatrist, so I kind of came from wealth.
yeah,
Um, but I didn't realize it at the time. You grow up in what you know.
yes.
And um, and but now I'm on my own. I've been orphaned,
mm,
and so I'm trying to make ends meet, and
mm,
oftentimes living paycheck to paycheck. And that's just how it goes, because this career is not for the faint of heart.
You're
no,
right about that.
we're
Wait,
learning,
did
which
I
is
hear
weird.
you
And
say
I what?
did I
But
hear you say forensic
He
psychiatrist?
was a forensic psychiatrist. He was an MD, medical doctor, Juris Doctor, JD, MD, JD. He was a Renaissance man. He was a
Mm,
classical pianist, played in the local Winston-Salem Symphony. He was a Shakespeare scholar. They took us to shows. I was constantly going to the opera and Shakespeare, and they were very supportive of the arts and amazing, amazing individuals.
Wow.
Way to go,
Such a
Dad.
blessing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man,
It was
that is
amazing.
amazing. So it really is like your foundation and everything is just
Mhm.
like it makes sense. It really does.
It
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Oh man. And thank you for sharing that as well
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you. I love that. I love when we have guests to come on and share, and we
Mhm.
can have more conversation. And I don't know what it is about New York because it just keeps calling me as well too. I recently
Mhm.
got signed there for actor agency, and it's just something about it and the history and the going there for the arts and everything. I'm actually want to go out there to see Robert Downey Jr. in Broadway very soon. So
Good for
yeah,
you. There are some amazing shows going on with some incredible actors from film and TV that, it's a limited, or it's a limited, uh, limited engagement, and you got to get your tickets and, get out
oh
there.
yes,
But
Mhm.
it's very fulfilling when you can. New York is an amazing place. I felt like when I was living in New York from about 95 to 99, I felt like a sardine stuffed in a can. It's just so packed.
yeah.
Yeah.
You can't drive a car. I love to drive a car. I love driving. I love more greenery. You have to go to Central Park to see any green, any
Mhm.
green. You're stuffed in there, and you're taking subways and cabs everywhere. And I did it. I even rollerbladed holding on to cabs to get places. It was wild living in Manhattan, let me tell you. It,
Oh, that is so cool. I had a horrible experience doing what my silly self when I was a kid. I tried to rollerblade with my German Shepherd, and that's when I weighed less than
ooh,
like I don't know how much, and
oh,
it didn't end well for me, Candice, at all. Like it was a horrible idea. My dad was in the living room or upstairs watching TV. He looks to the right and see his son getting dragged across the yard with
that's
um,
scary.
it was a mess. It was a mess. But yeah,
That is the one thing you cannot do is get a big dog on a leash while you're on some rollerblades.
I'm glad you
If
had a
you
better
don't have
experience.
knee pads, wrist pads, helmet, and you don't know how to stop
No,
and control, it's difficult,
it was a
It's
mess.
destruction waiting to happen.
It was a
right?
mess. It
And
was a
the
mess.
dogs will take you over everything,
Oh
grass,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
supposed to be on cement, you
yeah.
know?
Especially when they see the neighborhood cat just running off. Yeah,
And you go
grass.
flying by.
Yeah, grass. You just see your son sliding. Like I'm like you cross the like. What does this boy do? Go take a nap, son. Just go take a shower and just. It was a mess.
That's
He
so
realized you was on wheels and he took off.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be fun and that, but no,
hysterical.
no, it was a mess. Oh my gosh, it was a mess. Oh my god, I'm telling you. So you are. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Card player, Texas Hold'em.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
what piqued your interest to get into playing cards?
Well, my sister is into crafts, and she's making earrings and scarves and sweaters, and she's always been into crafts. It is like therapy for her. And I
Mm,
have never had a hobby that was that took my mind off of everything.
Mhm.
And poker takes my mind off of everything, and it I mean, seriously, everything just goes away and you're focused on the game and the people, the camaraderie. I love poker because it brings people from all walks of life, all different races, people from 20 to 80 years old. I just visited an 80-year-old poker player buddy of mine in the hospital. He has sepsis. Like I would have never, like this would have never happened. I've got an incredible poker community. You see a lot of the same people at the same games, and it is it's amazing because I would have never been friends with a lot of these people. And in boarding school, there were people from all walks of life. And I love diversity, and I love, you know, being friends with everyone, because, you know, I don't judge. I just enjoy people. And it's poker has been an incredible escape for me in a way.
Mhm.
And I can also make some money. I mean, I've been doing pretty well. You can make, you know, 250 to sometimes $1,200 if you place first, second, or third in some of these tournaments. And that's that's great cash when I'm doing my head hunting on the side and acting, which, you know, comes, you know, the jobs come so infrequently, that poker became you know, an escape for me. And I play probably 3 to 4 times a week. If
Mm.
I can, I will.
So when they see you coming, they go, "Oh, here comes Miss Rose." Like,
Well, at first, I wasn't as good as I am now. And so
Mhm.
now, you know, and no one knows how I play because I'm still learning. So sometimes I do stupid things and I win a pot, and people are like, "You called that?" And I'm like, "Well, I mean, I'm playing my cards." But yeah, it's a whole different world. And I
Yeah.
see on TV Jennifer Tilly playing, and, you know, I'm just trying to add more of my acting skills into the game, because right
Mm.
now I'm so focused on the cards that I need to get a better strategy. And the better I get at that, the better the better I become, and the more money I win, and the more fun I have.
Y'all better watch out for Miss Rose. She's coming to take y'all money if y'all don't know.
It's fun. We do one trip to Vegas a year, and we
Mhm.
will play poker for, I mean, we'll sleep 3 to 4 hours a night and play for 3 to 4 solid days nonstop. And I never get tired of it.
Oh
I
yeah.
could play. There's just never enough poker.
Yes. I'm gonna have to get it. I'm gonna have to try it out. I'm gonna have to get into it. Definitely from talking to you. Now, I
It's a
was
great
what
brain exercise.
oh, okay. Okay.
It's a great brain exercise. People do Wordle, and they do crossword puzzles, and they do
Mhm.
other things. I don't do any of that. Uh,
Mhm.
but I found that the skills in poker really can keep your brain on target and focused and growing.
Mm. Well,
Yes, that
well,
sounds cool. So let's talk about some of your work.
Oh,
What gives you the most thrill on stage? Is it stage work or camera work? Like, what gives you the most thrill out of the two?
I started in the theater. I did an off-Broadway show in New York. That's how I got my equity card.
mm,
So I'm in the union for stage. I played Miss Adelaide in Guys and Dolls. I used to do musicals. I used to do just tons of theater. And that's what I knew and what I was trained in. I found the transition from theater to film to be quite difficult, because
mm,
I was always doing so much and being so big and projecting and acting. And you cannot do that for the camera,
mm,
because the camera sees everything. All you need to do is have the thoughts, and the camera will pick it up. And so that transition was very difficult for me. And I think that's why when I was living in Los Angeles again, I moved back to Los Angeles from 1999 to about 2005. Um, I was getting smaller roles in procedurals and uh, character roles. I played a homeless person on The District. I had like 5 teeth, with Craig T. Nelson, and that was, I mean, to be working with him, like, it was amazing.
mm,
I played a sex worker on Strong Medicine. I found my niche, if you will, in character work because of the theater, I think,
Mhm.
and I made that work for me to get myself some co-star credits on some shows. Um, but now I'm 50. I need to I need to focus on what I really want, which is TV and film work, because it's more challenging for me, much more challenging, just to be myself and to be vulnerable. That's the hardest thing. I find it thrilling to be on set and bringing someone else's character and story to life, being that vessel that fits like a puzzle piece into someone else's vision and the story they want to tell.
Yes.
So that's really my goal. And I only bring this up because it's so recent. It's been a bit of a dry spell for me in the last year. I know the industry is down 20-30%, especially in Los Angeles. But I booked a good role on one of the Chicago shows, and I was supposed to shoot last week, and 2 days before I was supposed to shoot, they omitted my role from the script. Oh, I cannot deny I was depressed for 3 to 4 days.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard to book a role in the first place, and this role could have recurred. It could have moved to the other shows. That was heartbreaking for me.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
I got paid for the fitting and I got paid for the shoot, which is great, but that's not what it's about for me.
Yeah.
I want to do the work.
Yeah.
I want to get into people's living rooms. I want to tell a story and work. So that was tough for me. And it brings me actually back to, I did take a 13-year hiatus from the business from 2005 to 2018. I did a couple movies that were non-union, and I became financial core because in Los Angeles, I just wasn't making ends meet, and it was hard. I was constantly waiting for the phone to ring. I had no other hobbies, no other interests. It was all acting, and you cannot just have acting as your focus, because when you're an actor with no name, you are low on the totem pole. And you have to have other interests to fulfill your life, to be a better actor and to be more full on screen with different, experiences. And I didn't have that. So I took a break in 2005 and found myself and worked in the corporate world. For 9 years, I sold steel. I was in staffing, and I still am, as a recruiter. And so I was able to, when my mom passed away, I decided that she always wanted me to get back into it. And I felt like she was judging me some of the time because, of course, at that point, she was an actor. And so when she passed away, I decided I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it on my own terms with no judgment, no micromanaging, no anything from anybody. I'm my own being. When my mom left this physical world, I realized that I'm kind of alone and I need to do what makes me happy. So I got back into it full force in 2018.
Wow. I mean, it was like something clicked, and he was like, okay, this is what I want to do. And it took a little bit of time for you to figure it out, but with getting into steel, that's good business.
You know what? The business part of working in the corporate world taught me so much about the business of acting. I am a product.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I have to sell my product. I had a troll on Instagram say that I was, she just looked at my profile. I made a comment about vote blue, and she came after me and looked at my profile and said, "You're just self-absorbed, blah, blah, blah." And I thought to myself, I have to be self-absorbed. If you don't love yourself, no one else is going to love you. You've got to love yourself and market yourself and advocate for yourself.
Yes.
So that comment, I was like, she has no idea. I am my own brand.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are, Miss Candice. You are your own brand, and you have to market yourself.
I do.
You got to let people know what they're getting when they see Miss Rose. If they don't, if they're not gonna hear it from you, then who?
Right, right. And I got to post pictures of myself because
Mm-hmm.
I've got casting directors following me. I've got producers following me, film directors. I want them to see all facets of Candice Rose, just in case they say, ooh, she could be good in this film. So I try to vary my posts looking like a regal, regal white lady and then looking like the socialite, or I've got pictures where I'm more kind of like a blue collar white trash, if you will. And I love those kinds of roles because that's where I started. I dig my teeth into those because the face doesn't really, like, me with makeup and me without makeup is a whole different story. I mean, I'm not wearing that much makeup right now, but I can be like, you see me, there's so many different looks. There's with your hair up, you can look
Mm-hmm.
like my mother, who is right there in that.
Wow.
I know, she was something. So I like to show people different facets of who I am and what I can look like.
Yes, ma'am. Like I was just telling Jock today. Normally, I have on makeup when I come onto the show, and I was telling him, I was like, "Oh, I'm fresh faced today," and he was like, "Girl, you don't need no makeup."
Oh, you look fantastic.
Thank
Jeez.
you.
We just, you don't, I mean, you've got Pamela Anderson now going makeup free, and I think she looks beautiful.
Yes, ma'am. And
So
you are definitely gorgeous. You do have to put some pictures up to show all that beauty. You are grazing. You are aging gracefully, just as your mom.
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I didn't, I didn't really think about age. I don't really think about age, but you do when you look at breakdowns, when you get auditions and it says, 55 to 70 or 55 to 80. And I'm auditioning for a role right now that's 55 to 80. And I'm thinking, what? I don't know if I can pull that off, because
Mhm.
compared to the other 55 to 80-year-old actresses, I look a little younger.
Mhm.
So my manager, my team got involved. And when I get called in for a 60 to 70, my manager says, I do not want this casting director to see you for this role. Let me find another role that's more in the 40 to 50 range. But I ended up getting a call back for that major A-lister movie that's shooting in Chicago, in fact, for this 60-year-old woman. So you never know. You just never know. And age is just a number. I know it's cliche to say, but it's so true. I don't feel old.
There you go. That's all about how
I
you
know
feel. And,
It is.
it is. I
oh,
just
wow.
turned 39 last month. I just
Oh,
turned 39.
happy
I don't know,
39th.
never say my age on here, but I just made 39 and I was like, huh, I'm not gonna 40.
I'm You can't be ashamed of it. It's your age, and it doesn't really matter. You know, not to anyone else, and it definitely shouldn't matter to you. If you feel good and you're treating yourself well, then the
Mhm.
universe will take care of you. And it's you gotta be content with who you are, because nothing's changing and we can't go backwards and no one's getting out alive. So we're all headed for the same
Pretty
for the
much.
same
Yes.
Yeah, no,
what?
you're absolutely right, man. Candace, thank you for being so transparent with
Yes.
sharing, the highs and the lows and what you have to do to take time up for yourself to get your mental and everything else right. And we love when, like I said, like earlier, when, guests come on and share, that part because, we're actors too, me,
Yeah.
Touche, and well, I know you've seen, but it's but and we have our moments as well too, and we have like take a break, or like just get yourself right for it. And it's
Right.
beautiful that share that, because there's somebody, this right here is going to help somebody who is on their
Yeah.
journey to get to that next level, or to just try to figure this thing out like we're all just trying to do. So thank you for that.
Yes, absolutely. Happy to share.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So you were on Stranger Things, and also
Yes.
Halloween ends. It's spooky season, Halloween. Share with the and phenomenal Chef Kiss, by the way. Phenomenal roles. It feels like every time I'm looking at just everything you've been in,
It was
it's
a nice trifecta
yeah,
coming
Yeah,
back from 13-year hiatus.
yeah,
it
yeah.
was.
You
It
like
was.
you.
And I think the most important thing I want to say to actors who listen to this, we depend on our agents to submit us for roles. But I got on to Actors Access, and I saw a submission for a role for Mrs. Mead in a movie called Cave Dweller. And it said SAG Scale plus 10 feature film shooting in Savannah, Georgia. And I thought, well, that's something. And I didn't get it from my agent, so I submitted to it. And I was, and in fact, shooting Ordinary Joe in Atlanta at the same time. So I taped this audition. For the first time, I didn't get coaching because I just felt the role was really me and I could channel my mother in this role. And because I don't have kids, so connecting with the whole child thing was, I had to do some substitutions, which I did with my dogs. But when I got a call back for this, my manager says to me, "Do you know what this is?" And I said, "It's Cave Dweller." And he said, "It's the Halloween franchise." And I said, "What?" I wish he hadn't told me, because I had a callback on Zoom with David Gordon Green, which was, slightly daunting. But it turned out that project that I was just randomly out there for anyone to submit to was Halloween Ends. And they had a code name and they were dummy sides. So it's so important to stay on top or even get alerts. That's how I do it. I don't go onto Actors Access every day, but I get alerts for anyone between the ages of 40 to 55. I
Mhm.
should I should probably increase that, 45 to 60. Um, and I love working in the Southeast. So I have it set for Southeast, and I only get paid opportunities in the South. And this one came through as an alert. So when I have time on my hands, I will look at different markets, but I
Mhm.
have really, I have got an agent in Atlanta, a manager in Los Angeles, an agent in Los Angeles, an agent in New Mexico, and I've got an agent in Chicago. So I'm
Mhm.
fully covered. And for the first time in my life, I have people that believe in me.
Yes,
And that is priceless.
yes, ma'am, it is.
I
Pressure.
never did back in the day. I got all of those roles on all of those shows that I was on through casting director workshops, pay to play. That's not allowed anymore, but that's how I got in on a lot of these roles. And it's
Yes.
interesting because I auditioned for JAG back in 2003, I think it was. I
Mhm.
booked a nice juicy a nice juicy 3-day co-star on that show. 2 days before they shot it, they omitted my part. 3 weeks later, I booked a guest star on JAG. But I was taking class with the teacher. With the teacher was the casting director of JAG. So I
Mm.
always try to work with people and get coached and taught by people who are currently casting.
Yes, ma'am.
Kill
Mm.
a few birds with one stone. You just gotta,
Right.
Yes.
That's
it's I find that I'm drawn to, people who are working in the industry, and it's just um it's helped me a great
yeah,
deal.
yeah. That's
Yes.
what I'm
One of
talking.
my coaches right now is actually a casting director in the Southeast.
Mm.
And
Oh,
he knows everything. He's $1 a minute, and he is just fantastic. And not only will he coach me, I mean, I pretty much do all the work before I get to him, so he's just tweaking it.
right.
But because you can't go in, just a blank slate, not knowing anything or having built your backstory of your character or anything. But anyway, he just cast me in a film in Atlanta, and I shot it a couple months ago. Because when we were coaching at the end of the session, he said, I'm casting a project and I think you'd be perfect for it. And I
love
said, oh, great. And he said, I'd like you to audition.
Hmm.
He
Come
said,
on
but you're
with the
pretty much a shoo-in. So that was it. And I wouldn't have built that relationship with him if I hadn't started coaching with him for $1 a minute. It's worth it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's great information, because you are actually killing two birds in one stone. You're getting coached by someone who's actually out casting. So you know what they're looking for. He's going to make sure that you're prepared for
Yeah.
whatever roles. And also he's going to have his ear out for anything that's going on, and that he can put you in because you're his product. You're his work.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a good way to look at it.
Mhm. That
Yeah.
sounds
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what was that a picture of you at the Oscars?
That was my first gay wedding. They had an Oscar theme.
Okay. I was like, hold on, wait, what's going on here? Let's
Yeah.
discuss.
No, I had never been to an Oscar-themed party or wedding before. And that's what that was from.
that is
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. But we gonna speak it. Miss Rose gonna be in the Oscars soon. So y'all,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
well, I was
just
like,
want to do good. I just want to do good work,
Mhm.
and you get rejected so much. And
Yeah.
if you put good work out there, the role, you're not going to be right for everything, but the roles that will be right for you will come along. And those 3 roles that I got, the Halloween Ends, She-Hulk, and Stranger Things, and Ordinary Joe, those were all really right for me.
Yes. And they were big projects too. So I mean,
Huge projects. I couldn't. I was on a roll.
yeah.
But of course, as actors, and as you know, as actors, you work and then you never think you're going to work again. Like that was my last job. But I consider every job an audition for another job. I'm always auditioning. We are always auditioning.
always. You're absolutely right about that. Absolutely. And that's why I was like, that venue looked like, I was like, wow, amazing to everybody who set up that venue for
That'd
you.
be great.
Yeah,
It was amazing.
Which one?
The
the
venue for
Oscar.
the wedding,
Oh, the
like the
venue for the
wedding.
wedding. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
the Rockwell,
I believe. Yeah.
right on the river in Chicago.
Hmm.
And I was actually Oscar themed because there were a lot of film industry people there. And I got invited by a director who I worked with and happens to be my boyfriend of 15 years' ex-wife. We were very close. And she invited me as her guest.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
It's not
Like
work, it's network.
There you go.
exactly. Networking is networking no matter how it comes.
Nope.
Mhm.
It's so true.
Yeah. So, and it was something else I took notice of. I think it was when I first started following you. Now, help me if I pronounce this the wrong way. Is it Gaia or Gaia?
It's Gaia.
Gaia.
Oh,
I had it right the first time. Gaia. There we go.
my
Now,
passion project.
yes, tell us. Can you share a little bit about that?
In a nutshell, I had all of this stuff going on with all these huge studio projects. I had a producer who saw a demo reel scene that I had paid a company to do, and he said, "You're perfect for the role of the mother in this movie Gaia. And at the time, I thought, I am not doing a low budget project right now. It'll take me out of, the market for other things. But it happened to, so I had two of my best friends audition for that role, and I coached one of them on it. She got a call back. They both really wanted the role. Well, 3 months later, this was during the writer's strike. 3 months later, they came back to me and they said, "We really want you for the role. Can you audition?" I said, fine. I was already familiar with the scene because I had coached one of my girlfriends on it. And so I just nailed it out probably in less than an hour. And in less than an hour, I was cast in Gaia as a supporting role, 5 scenes. When I got on board as an actor, we got the interim agreement to be able to do the movie during the strike. And they didn't have the money that they needed to do this film. And when I'm involved in something, I with the business acumen I gained and learned about in the business world, in the corporate world, I realized that it's just sales. That's how you make money. You have to sell. So we put together a proof of concept, and I ended up raising $92,000 for this film. It was not easy, but I got to tell you, one of the things I did was every time I get an audition, I follow all of the people, producers, writers, directors in that film, just in case they send me to producers or I get a call back, they already am familiar with my name. So out of sight, out of mind. So I followed them. And one of them, over the last year and a half, he's been posting stories about films that he's been doing. And I made little comments, planted seeds. And then I decided to reach out to him, send him the pitch deck, and ask him for $60,000 as an investment. And he said, send me the stuff. It was a cold call. It was a cold email. It was very cold. And he took an interest in the project. And that's how I raised the bulk of the money to get us started. And then, of course, I pulled some out of my Roth when we got closer to the end. And I only had that Roth because I had worked in corporate world. I have the 401k. I'll get penalized for taking some money out, but I believe in this project. Gaia is the story of a female MMA fighter, and she gets injured in a huge fight. She has to decide to come back to Chicago and support her family or continue to fight. Now, as her mother, I have an autistic son. I have her other sister. We are barely making ends meet. I'm a hairstylist. She has to make that tough decision. Well, when I got on board and started raising money, there were roles to be filled. So it was this writer's strike. So I knew I could access some of these actors that would normally not go to Chicago to do a low budget film. I reached out to, this is crazy. I reached out to Jesse C. Boyd from Halloween Ends. He plays Officer Mulaney. I got him to play a part. I reached out to Cullen Moss, who is on everything right now, from Your Honor to Outer Banks to The Staircase. He's done so much. Turns out he did look familiar to me. We went to grade school together. He was a year under me. I flew him in from the Carolinas. We flew Jesse C. Boyd in. I cast Rebecca Spence as one of the roles. She's, pretty major in Chicago, and she's a phenomenal actor. We've got Christian Stolte. We've got John Hugenacker, who happened to be the director's friend. And I cast a few of my very talented friends that don't often get jobs. So I was fierce on the casting side of things, and I loved doing that. That was a lot of fun. And as an actor, to see other people's auditions, it's such a learning experience.
Yes.
And if you can watch auditions or be a reader for a casting director, it's the best thing you can do for yourself. So the movie is almost complete. We're in editing. We've got about 2 weeks left. They're very meticulous, but I just heard from the writer director who was born on the south side of Chicago, born and raised. His name is Wendell Etherly, and he and I got along famously. And he saw a cut of the film the other day. I have chosen not to see any of the dailies or any of the, I'm not at that point yet where I can watch my own work and be subjective. And I got scared. So I decided not to see anything. He said he watched the whole film last week and he said it's absolutely brilliant. So we are about to start submitting to all the big film festivals, South by Southwest, Tribeca, Sundance, you name it. We're just going for the big ones.
Yes.
Because this film, I think, is gold. And
Yes.
the actors in it are incredible. Emma Jo Boyden is a theater actor, but has done, she has quite a few credits, and she is the lead of the movie. And it was amazing. I was doing location scouting. Being a producer is like planning a party, and I loved having parties. So it's like putting all the pieces together and making everyone feel appreciated and hosting. And so at times it was difficult for me to take my producer hat off when I had to be an actor, to be quite honest. That was tough for me.
Yeah.
I hope it went well. I will see when I watch the film for the first time. You never know. You never know.
You have to keep us in the loop for Gaia. We definitely want to watch.
I will. And one more story real quick. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. So back in the day, when I had money rolling in, I was working corporate job. I had a massage therapist come to my house once a week. She was also $1 a minute. I'm very much into the $1 a minute thing. She
Amen.
came to my house. She happened to be Prince Amukamara's from the Bears massage therapist. So we started talking about him. I reached out to him on Instagram. He had told me at one point, "Oh, I've always wanted to be an actor, like, Dwayne Rock, or, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock." And so I brought him in on this film, and we flew him in from Phoenix, Arizona, to play a physical therapist in Gaia. So now we've got Prince Amukamara in our film, and it's his first acting job, and he did great. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a stacked cast.
No, that's beautiful. I love that. That is you're giving me so much hope and joy and everything that you've
Yay.
done and been doing, and I've something similar to we'll talk, but
Yes.
Great.
but
Anytime.
yeah, most definitely. But it's just beautiful that you know things you have done and things you're doing now, and I just love this story, and I just love everything that you're doing. So, giving you more flowers and everything to what you're doing. So, Candice, thank you. Like, just like this. This is like really a very inspiring interview here, and I just
Wonderful.
so that like
Thank
you
you.
are a joy. That's what I'm saying
Thank
to you.
you. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
A few more things, and we'll because we want to, respect your time and everything.
Yeah, no
Fine.
problem.
I mean, you shared so much, so many gems, your highs, your lows. But what is something that you can share with the audience, a gem or things you learn over your life that you can share that can help others in their life or their career?
I mean, attitude is altitude.
Mm,
My mother always used to say that. And you have to think positively. You can be depressed saying, I only had 2 auditions this month. Or you can turn it around and be like, I had 2 auditions this month.
mm,
It's all a state of mind and how you look at things. And it's so important, if you're an actor, to have a life outside of acting that gives you joy, because there's not a ton of it in this business. Um, you know, you gotta take care of yourself and be kind to everyone and stay positive. And if you know, if acting is in your blood, there are so many opportunities. There are so many outs to quit and to be done with it. But I can't imagine ever being done. Failure is not an option for me. I'm going to give you one example. I was booked on Stranger Things. I have a place in Atlanta. I also split my home base between Chicago and Atlanta. Stranger Things called me right after the pandemic. I auditioned for Stranger Things in April of 2020 via my self studio, which we all had to make up quickly. And in October, I booked the role. Well, I happened to be in Chicago at the time, but I said I was in Atlanta because I was actually in Atlanta shooting something when I was taping that. So the second AD sent me a text message at 4 p.m. on a Tuesday and said, "We need you at Trillith Studios tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock to take your COVID test." I packed up the car so quickly and I drove all night and made it 11 hours by myself. At 7 a.m., I made it to Atlanta to take that COVID test. Failure is not an option. I know a lot of actors. Just recently, I have had many friends come to me and say, "I'm trying to get a representative in Atlanta," and they know I live here, but the problem is now a lot of the agents in other states don't want to take on actors that are not there because so many actors messed it up. They would get cast in something, realize they have to get themselves there, find lodging, get a rental car if necessary to make it work, and they failed. And so it really it burned a lot of actors where failure is not an option. I would never decline an offer ever, no matter what. I will make it work.
Yes.
So you have to, that outside of acting thing, you have to have a life because you have to have income if you're going to be a local hire in several different states where money is not an issue.
Yes.
So it's the logistics. And once you mess something up with a casting director, they will never forget it. And there are a lot of casting directors out there, but you have to make sure that you succeed in everything or don't offer to do it. Don't put yourself out there if you cannot afford to make things happen. So I really, it's that failure is not an option for me, and it never has been. When I get a job order for a recruiting project, I fill the role, no matter what lengths I have to go to, calling other companies to recruit people out, reaching out on LinkedIn. There's so many avenues to reach people these days, so, but having income is having a side job, a side hustle. I do taxes for my sister, data entry at $20 an hour, starting January till May every year, in addition to my recruiting. I got American Airlines credit card that gave me 70,000 miles on one flight. And I had a callback in person with Ethan Cohen in New Mexico. I found out Monday at 9 p.m. I was on a flight Tuesday morning at 8:17. I got to New Mexico. My sister lives there. They picked me up. I had the call back at 2 o'clock that day. And I didn't get it, but I met Ethan Cohen. I mean, it was an amazing experience. And I didn't want to fail my agents, my New Mexico agent, because now all of my agents know I will make it work no matter what. There is no other way.
Failure is not an option.
It's not. And you got to do that for yourself in life. You can't fail yourself.
Yeah.
And don't fail other people that are counting on you, that see you as part of the vision of the story they're telling. Yeah. There's so much that goes into a production. I learned on the producing side of things. you know, booking a location and then, you know, changing a date for an actor. I mean, there's just so much that goes into it. You have to be there, you have to stay present, and you have to stay focused, and you have to fight and know that you are the solution to the problem.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Candice.
Thank you. That is definitely going to help someone.
Yeah, it really is. Thank you, man.
It's helping us too. Like,
Yeah,
Right.
it is. I'm like, I'm getting
I
goosebumps.
mean,
So, like, seriously, because like I have that same like that mentality. It's just
mhm.
it's feeding us, and it's just nurturing, and it just feels so good to hear that. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I kept saying thank you. And I know you said earlier that it's been a while since you booked, but I have a really a good feeling that something's really coming your way very
I
soon.
have a good
Yes.
feeling. I just had a third guest star role for a major TV show shooting in Atlanta, third audition for a guest star. So I know they want me on there. I auditioned 6 times for Ordinary Joe before I booked it. I booked it on the 6th time.
Yeah.
So when you get called back, it's a huge win. I'm not talking a callback. I'm talking called back for another audition for the same show. They want you. They're just trying to find a place to fit you in. And there's
Mhm.
so many minds that have to make that decision. It's like, you know, if one person doesn't want you and 4 people do, it's probably not going to happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's so many small wins in this business, regardless. And so that gives me hope. Small wins give me hope. Any audition you get is a huge win. Any
Yeah.
callback, any pin.
Yes, ma'am.
And I love that about this business, the unknown.
Yeah.
Because Monday morning you wake up and you're like, what's going to happen today from all the auditions I submitted last week?
Right.
Right.
It's like, am I going to get a call back?
I mean, it's you never know. It's
Yes.
like poker in a way. You never know what cards you're going to be dealt. And
Mm-hmm.
you never know what cards other people have and when you're going to take the big pot. But patience is key.
Yes.
And patience is, you know, I'm working on that daily. And in poker, you really have to work on patience.
Yes.
So I'm trying to work on that in my acting as well, knowing that something is right around the corner that's going to be a perfect fit. Or I wouldn't be here. You are where you're supposed to be. Don't fight it. Just be there and be there fully. And be the youest you can be, because no one else can be you. Therefore, there is no competition.
Yes.
No one can be you. You're the only one. So be the youest you can be, and you will succeed.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you again, Miss Candice Rose.
This Candice is dropping the jewels for us today.
For
Yay!
picking up and receiving it. too. I love
Talking from experience, you know. So, and I'm older than both of you, so I guess I have some
it.
wisdom to.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you
We
so much.
appreciate it. We
Do
really
you
do.
can you share with the audience where we can follow you at?
Sure. Most of my career stuff, the acting, is on Instagram at Candice Rose is busy. CANDICEROSE is busy. That is my tag name. I reached out to Candice Rose, the actual name, the handle Candice Rose, and she wanted $5,000 for the name.
Oh wow.
And
Hey.
so I said no, thank you, and I just made that name up with the help of my sister. We were trying to think of a clever name. So yeah, on there, and then yeah, stay tuned. I've got stuff in the works and a lot of exciting things that I know are going to happen in the next few months. It's just a matter of time and patience, having patience.
We would definitely love to have you back.
I'd love to come back.
Yes, please do. And so that, some of the projects that you have, like Gaia, we want to come back when they're out, and, we could actually watch it, and, we would
Sure.
love to have you back.
Yep, absolutely. Gaia should be out. We're submitting now. I would think that it would be purchased we're going for a full out sale on that movie. And I can see January, February of 2025 that it's
Like,
going to all come to fruition and be out somewhere.
right around Sundance Film Festival. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Miss Candice Rose, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. I gotta say it like that. I'm sorry, Candy.
No, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for joining us.